Today we're going to look at some of the principles of data representation and data summary. So we're looking at a little bit about the discipline of statistics, which is a branch of mathematics that involves collecting and analysing data so that we can make good decisions. You may be familiar with the census. Every 5 years, every Australian in the country, or every person in the country really, is counted and data collected about them. This means that governments can make informed decisions about where to build schools, build roads, and so on. So one of the things we do in this discipline is we collect data and then try and summarise it to make some sense out of it. So up here on the top left-hand side, we have some data what was collected on 50 abalone. So an abalone farmer wants to know how his abalone or her abalone are growing, and so somebody measures the diameters of all the abalone in one of the tanks. It's hard to make sense of just all those numbers. So one thing you can do is to try and make sense of it is to form a frequency table. So here the groups are listed up to 15 millimetres, diameters are up between 15 and 20, and so on. And then the numbers in each group are counted, and then the numbers are added up. And then from that we can draw the histogram, and this shows us quite clearly that a fair few of the abalone are between about 40 and 50 millimetres in diameter, and most of them are within this sort of range. So from the table we get something which we can quickly use to interpret. Now we have the discipline of statistics, and then we have these numbers called statistics. And they're used to help summarise the data and have been calculated from a formula. So we have the visual representation, and now we have the numerical representation. And one of the most common statistics which you'll be familiar with is the mean, generally known as the average. And this tells us that the mean is calculated by adding up all the results and then dividing by the number we have. In reality, there are 3 forms of averages that are in common use. The first one is the mean, and that's the one which people usually refer to when they're talking about an average. So you add up all the results and divide by the number of results you have. So in your book, you'll find that there's this joke where Bill Gates walks into a pub and everybody cheers because they says their average income has gone up. So here I've made up some results. So I have 4 people all earning $50,000 a year. And on the graph, these are represented here. So I've got the number of people there. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 of them all earning $50,000 a year. And then we have Bill Gates, who earns $1 million a year. And we all know he earns more than that. But this is just a way to illustrate the problem. So if we worked out the mean, add them all up, divide by 5, would we get an answer what is representative of the people in the pub overall? Well, the mean of all these incomes is 240,000, which is about here. Is that a good representation of the people overall? Well, I would argue that it's not. In this situation, we might think about using the median. So we have the same 4 people all earning $50,000 a year, and we have Bill Gates. Now to work out the median, which remember is a form of an average, we line them all up in order from the lowest to the highest, and we pick the middle score, which is this one here. So the median is the middle score, it's $50,000. On our graph, this is here. Does this give give a good representation of the income of the people in the pub. I'll argue that it is a much better representation of the people overall than by using the mean. There's one more average that is of common use. This is the mode. It's the result that occurs most often. So here we are, we have the 4 people again, all earning $50,000 a year. We have one at $1 million. Which result occurs most often? Well, that's this one of $50,000 a year. So the mode of these people, the modal income, is $50,000 a year. I consider that that also gives a better representation of the people in the pub at that time. So what do I want you to take from this short lecture? Whenever you hear the word average used in the media or anywhere else, ask yourself, which average was used? Was it the mean, the median, and or the mode? And was it the best average for this situation? Thank you very much for listening.